Welcome to the How I Got Over podcast with your hosts, Dr. Pia L. Scott and the Docs. She is joined by co hosts, Dr. Kennedy Strickland Dixon, Dr. Latinia Shell, and Dr. Germany Thompson. And now, your hosts of How I Got Over podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the How I Got Over podcast. I am Dr. Kia L. Scott, and I am so excited that you are here to join myself and my co-host, who I will introduce. I am taking this opportunity to really empower women and anybody that is going through anything. And so the good thing about this podcast is that we talk about those things. We talk about how we got over. We share stories. We have guest speakers who will talk about things from social justice, mental health, financial literacy, and so much more. So I am so excited, to have support, to have individuals that are really making this HIGO such a success. And we are so happy that you are here to join us. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my co-host for the podcast. I have Dr. Kennedy Dixon, Dr. Latinia Shell, and Dr. Germany Thompson, who will talk about their chapters, and they will share their stories, how they got over, and what this brand means to them. And this podcast stems from how I got over the educational pursuit of Black female scholars. And what this anthology is about is just women sharing their stories about how they overcame mental health issues or struggling with school and different things like that. And so we really want people to share their stories and to, have opportunities to get over. And we all know that despite whatever we go through, you can get over. So I'm going to allow my co-hosts to kind of talk about their chapter, introduce who they are, and also talk about their how I got over moments and their brand.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pia. And for everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to be a part of this wonderful inaugural event for How I Got Over. And it is the educational pursuit of Black female scholars. And we are here for such a time as this. So everything happens for a reason. And I truly believe that to everything, there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heavens. And as Pia stated, my name is Dr. Germany Thompson, and I am primarily going to focus on finances. So my entire professional career has been within the financial services industry in some shape, form, or fashion. And I like numbers. I'm very analytical. Always have been an avid learner. So that's one of the reasons why I pursued a higher degree and a PhD. So my PhD is in industrial organizational psychology. And with that, people say, oh my God, you work for a bank or a finance company or a data company. What drew you to IO psychology? I have always been fascinated about people and why they do what they do and how they do it at work. So as Pia stated, this wonderful book here, this is my chapter all on finance. There are no other people in that book that have anything on finance. And people say, oh my God, the numbers. There is more to being a quote unquote banker than just the numbers. I moved around a lot in my career. I always knew that I loved people, wanted to be in human resources, did a whole bunch of things. But when I went and pursued my PhD, it was after being laid off after many, many years from my first job and the place I thought I would retire from. But it allowed me to step into what God had for me, and that was pursuing my passion. So I started this PhD program, went through it, IO psychology. I finished that degree, completed, so I'm not ABD, thank God. So the title of my chapter is Yet I Rose. I completed my studies at the University of Phoenix. Now everybody's on the online school craze, so no more jokes about having an online degree out there. So don't let anybody tell you an online degree does not work. A lot of places have been doing it that way for a long time. And it's called Yet I Rose because there were so many obstacles that I needed to get past. Some of my own insecurities, some of my own stuff. I had gone through a divorce. I had been laid off. I found myself now raising a Black boy in America, in the South. And so I had a lot of unique experiences that I wanted to bring to this degree. Absolutely loved it. When Pia approached me about this, I was excited to do it. I won't give away too much in the book because we want you to go buy it. And we'll talk later about how you can follow all of us and get in touch with us after this podcast and all the wonderful things we have for the remainder of 2020. 2020 is not canceled. Okay, so everybody's title of their book in the book here has a purpose. So when we talk about Yet I Rose, we are coming out of 2020 better than what we went into 2020 thinking was going to happen. So we'll talk about how to keep in touch with us, how to follow us, hashtagging HIGO. We are going to be on all social media. I want to let Dr. Kennedy and Dr. Tina share, and then we'll come back around and we'll tell you what's next for How I Got Over It.
Awesome. I am so excited to be with my sweet sorors, the contributing authors to How I Got Over, with my chapter title being From the Projects to the Professoriate. And so as you can see, there is a signed autograph of my page. And so when you buy the book, I would be happy to do that for you as well. And as Dr. Germany stated, we will be sharing all of the details in terms of how you can purchase the book later. So the inspiration behind the title for me, From the Projects to the Professoriate, is because I was actually raised by a single parent, my mother, and I was brought up in the projects. Lived in the projects pretty much my entire childhood, and didn't really move out really until I started graduate school. And so that was definitely the inspiration to just reflect, on just my humble beginnings, growing up in the projects, really defying all the odds, you know what I mean? Being able to be the first person in my family to not only graduate from high school, but then matriculate on to higher education, received a bachelor's degree in psychology, then went on to pursue my master's degree in education, counselor education, and then finally a doctorate degree, which really is just a dream come true. And that was really the purpose of this book, The Educational Pursuit of Black Female Scholars, and all of the trials and the tribulations, and there were many, that we went through, but we made it over. And so we wanted to be able to give back, you know what I mean? We wanted to give back to other Black female scholars who are pursuing their doctorate degrees currently, and not only Black female scholars. This really is applicable to anyone with any kind of challenge that you're going through in life, whether it's personal, whether it's professional. We wanted to just share our stories, and there are 12 of us, mind you, 12 Black females who have gone on to pursue or in the process of pursuing their doctorates. And that right there is just a blessing in and of itself, and a testimony. And so I'm just happy and elated to be a part of this phenomenal show to bring hope and inspiration. What I do full time is I have a private practice, and my practice focuses on working with marginalized communities. The name of my practice is Diversity Works, and Diversity Does Work, and dealing with everything that we're going through currently in 2020 with the double pandemic of COVID, as well as all of the racial injustices. We want to be able to just be there for you, to offer hope, to offer inspiration. And that is what I do as well in my private practice, and working with individuals and working with couples and working with families and groups of all types. And so again, I'm very happy to be here. We're going to talk about the importance of mentoring, which I feel like we all have been doing for each other. We're going to be talking about the importance of self-care, especially during these very perilous times, and taking care of ourselves, and much, much more. So stay tuned. This is our first episode, and we have many, many more to come. So thank you so much for having me, Dr. Scott.
Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Kennedy Dixon, and I'm just so excited to be here. I bring you greetings from the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. I'm so excited to be here. This fabulous book, How I Got Over, my chapter is called Denial Does Not Mean Defeat. Determination finishes the race. And as Dr. Shell said, we're not going to tell you all about the book because we just want to pique your interest so that you will go and buy this phenomenal book. What my chapter just talks about is resilience. And so, as Dr. Scott said, the purpose of us writing this is to inspire others. Our hope was that our story would encourage someone else to finish the race. Because what we know as people of color, it's not easy for us. We know that we have to do a little bit more in areas. So what we want to do is we want to encourage people to continue on, to continue to pursue this degree. And not only the degree, but the life lessons that you are going to read about in this book. They are absolutely phenomenal. If you don't walk away encouraged, I guarantee you will walk away encouraged. My full-time profession, I am a director of special education. I'm entering my 26th year in the field of education. I'm still excited about it. I'm still on fire about it. And I'm happy to be here. So thank you so very much, Dr. Scott, for the invitation.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies. And just to share my chapter, there's power and purpose. And really what my chapter talks about is the persistence in going after your passion. In my chapter, I talk a lot about the losses that I suffered throughout. And I really wanted to do a book on focusing on Black female scholars because in the United States, there are only, I believe it's maybe 1% to 2% of all African Americans, and that includes men, women, who actually complete their doctorate, whether it's a medical degree, whether it's an educational degree, all of those degrees combined, there's only about 2% of African Americans that actually complete their degree. So I felt this book was very important. And just, I find that sharing stories that helped me through what I was going through. And so this podcast is just that. It's to inspire and empower others to push through what they are dealing with and what they are going through. So we just encourage you all to continue to view the podcast. Like I said, we have some guest speakers who are coming to the next episode, who will be talking about social justice, criminal justice reform, and what the current state of the African Americans in this country. And stay tuned for that. So that will be our next podcast. So I'm looking forward to that. And we will let you know who those speakers are, those great speakers. Dr. Shell, if you would want to let our audience know who those speakers are.
Sure, yes. I am definitely excited about our first guest speakers for our next podcast. And I'm pleased to share that both have accepted. We have Mr. Brandon Flood, who is the Secretary of Pardons for the state of Pennsylvania. And we also have Mr. Blanding Watson, who is the president of the NAACP Lancaster chapter. And so they will definitely be sharing a lot of insight and a lot of light in terms of the current state of affairs, not only for Pennsylvania, but, that our country, that what we're going through and what we're experiencing. So I'm really excited. So stay tuned for that episode.
Thank you so much. And lastly, we are getting ready to wrap up. So I will have all of the co-hosts tell you how you can follow them on social media or hashtags, whatever they would like for you to follow them by. So I encourage you to do that because we have so much more in store for you all. So I will let them kind of talk about their hashtags and social media and how you can follow them. We will start with Dr. Dixon.
Okay. You can follow me on Facebook at Kennedy Strickland Dixon. That is my screen name on Facebook. I will be excited for you to follow me to see all that I am doing in my community, all that I am doing to make certain that those who don't have a voice have a voice. So I'll be so honored if you follow me on Facebook, Kennedy Strickland Dixon.
You can follow me on various platforms. I am on Facebook at Diversity Works. I am on Instagram at Dr. Latinia Shao. I am on Twitter at Dr. Latinia Shao. And I am on LinkedIn at Dr. Latinia Shao. Also, you can find me on my website at www.lancaster-counseling.com.
So this is Dr. Germany. You can follow me on Twitter at CallMeDrJ. I am on Instagram at Dr_J², and that's Dr_J², all one word. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, Germany T, and that's Germany with a J, Jermanit, last name is Thompson. And also, you can find me on my website, J² on the go. It is www.j2managementconsulting.com.
Thank you, Dr. J. And lastly, you can follow me on its IG at Pia the Doc Scott, PIACHADOCSCOTT. You can also find me on LinkedIn at Dr. Pia L. Scott, and also on my website, which is www.plscottgroup.com. So thank you all, and tune in for the next episode of How I Got Over.
Thank you for joining the How I Got Over podcast with Dr. PLL Scott and the Docs. Please join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please like, share, and subscribe. The How I Got Over podcast is an SHP Media and Broadcasting project.